DocTalk is brought to you by Multimin USA, manufacturers of Multimin 90, sure trace mineral supplementation by timed injection.
Hi there and welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. I'm sure glad you joined us. We're going to have a great show today. A friend and colleague of mine, Dr. Casey Olson, is going to join me. We're going to talk about feeding cows through the wintertime. Stay tuned.
We do use Multimin in our cow herd, and we're finding that there is a benefit. It seems like those cows breed back better. And we also found that by giving our bulls a shot of Multimin just before we turn them out, we really get a kick out of that. I've definitely recommended Multimin to several people, and it's a good product.
This segment is brought to you by Norbrook Laboratories, manufacturers of Normycin LA, Normectin Plus, 1%, and Poron, the practical choice for your herd. Hi there and welcome to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson here from the College of Veterinary Medicine. I'm joined today by Dr. Casey Olson, who is a ruminant nutritionist over in the Animal Science and Industries Department, and he's a professor here at Kansas State University. And thanks for coming.
Oh, you bet, Dan. Always a pleasure.
It's great to have you on the show. It's always a topic that's, something that we're interested in and something that really hits the bottom line of the producers. And today, with the drought and different things, there's probably nothing much more important to a lot of cattlemen than how we're going to get these cows fed through the winter.
I'd agree. I mean, even in the best of winters, the time between the first of the year and roughly the 1st of May is where we spend 90% of our nutrition dollar. And in this year, going into a winter where we're short with forage following a drought that many have called the worst drought in 500 years here in the Flint Hills, we're up against the wall.
Well, I've been out driving countryside and just seeing some of these pastures look like the top of this countertop, and you just wonder, how are we gonna, get through this? What are some of the things that go through your mind?
Well, the first thing I think of when I see one of those pool table pastures is that most of the producers, unfortunately, are thinking about stocking grazable forages for a 6 to 7 month grazing season only. And then they're relying on harvested forages to get them through the winter. It's a fact, folks, that those harvested forages carry a significant price tag, and it's very difficult to get a high input, low capital return kind of business like a cow-calf enterprise to cash flow efficiently when harvested forages have to be relied on for half of the year.
So, So if you're buying it and hauling it in, really increase our costs.
Yeah, it's sort of like beef cow welfare. That cow was designed to harvest her own feed. She's designed to graze, and when we take her out of that grazing environment, we confine her for a period of time. We set ourselves up for a pretty big feed bill.
Yeah, when we talk about it in welfare, we're talking about the ability to exhibit normal behavior. Well,
that's a good way to put it. I never thought of it that way, but that makes a lot of sense, Doc.
So what are, when we're heading into this winter time, what are some of the things give me the first thing that pops in your mind and you're going to look at in operation to design the program? Do
you mind if we talk about this year specifically? Where we are droughty and we're short of forage?
I'd be glad to. We're going to have to go to the break here in about a little bit, but how would we get started to go ahead into the break? What are we going to come back with?
When we come back, folks, I'd like to talk to you about how we've managed this drought and how we're going to manage our winter feeding scenario at the K-State Cow-Calf Unit.
Well, again, great to have you on the show. We're going to discuss feeding the cows here in the wintertime. We're going to talk about how Dr. Olson and his crew do it and handle it. And there's what you said, the wrong way and the right way, or the expensive way and the affordable way.
That's right.
Appreciate y'all joining us on the show. We'll be right back after the break.
There's something wrong. His head is down. He's clearly stressed. He's worried sick about BRD. That's why there's prescription Zactran for BRD treatment and control in high-risk cattle. Get a rapid response plus 10-day treatment and control in a single dose, so you can stop worrying and get back to business. For use in cattle only, do not treat cattle within 35 days of slaughter. Because a discard time in milk has not been established, do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older, or in calves to be processed for veal. The effects of Zactran on bovine reproductive performance, pregnancy, and lactation have not been determined. Don't worry yourself sick. Talk to your veterinarian about a real alternative for BRD treatment and control. Because it's critical, it's Zactran. From Marielle, a leading animal health company.
Got cattle? Rotomix manufactures a complete line of energy-efficient rotary and vertical feed mixers for feedlots, beef production, dairy, and cow-calf operations. Our mixers are available with the patented Generation 2 staggered rotor, the industry standard for feeding wet rations that include wet distiller's grain. Made in the USA, Rotomix mixers are designed for feeding performance that American cattlemen and dairy producers have come to expect. Rotomix, proud to offer a better mix in less time using less fuel.
Here in Dallas, we're proud that our vehicles use an advanced biofuel called biodiesel. It's made from renewable resources like soybean oil, canola oil, even recycled cooking oil. This year, biodiesel will displace almost 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. Our air is cleaner, our economy is stronger, and America's more energy independent. It's working here, it can work in your community. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
This segment was brought to you by Brute Cattle Equipment, makers of the Brute Stealth Hydraulic Chute. If the chute fits, swear by it. Visit our website for more information.
Hi there and welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, joined by Dr. Casey Olson. We're both from Kansas State University, and we're talking about drought management or winter feed management. And y'all have a program that you use here when you manage the cow herd outside of Manhattan.
That's a fact. We have a cow herd here that's for teaching and research, and in order to justify the existence of that cow herd, it has to cash flow. And we're very cognizant of the money that we put into that cow herd every year, and we're a little bit peculiar in as much as we run to about 80% rented land. It means we have to put high emphasis on landowner relations, and we have to take good care of those pastures that we lease.
You bet.
Now, we have a written drought management plan that we abide by, just like the 10 Commandments. It's based on accumulated rainfall at several critical calendar dates during the year. It's also based on forage growth on those critical calendar dates. Now, when we don't meet either one of those targets for a given date, we don't have enough rain, we don't have enough forage, we know that we have to start adjusting our stocking rate downward. Now, the whole goal of doing this, folks, is to make sure that we have enough winter grass to get us through until green up in the spring. Now, we've had to make some significant cuts in stocking rate over the last 4 months. Some of the things that we did, we weaned early, about August 15th. We got rid of some yearling heifers to bring our stocking rate down, and then we started to cut into that mature cow herd a little bit. Our inventory is down by about 60 mature cows as a result of this drought. But having that written plan and having a marketing plan attached to each one of those stocking rate reductions, we got through it in pretty decent financial shape. And we're left with enough grass now to accommodate our winter feeding program.
It's awesome stuff. So basically, throughout the year, you're taking moisture analysis of how much moisture is hitting these pastures, what that's going to contribute to growth within the pastures. And then from there, I think the strategy thing is something that really hit home with me. You know, the weaning early, looking at the mature cows, and making some. You can't just keep borrowing.
No, you can't. And the one person or the one entity you really can't borrow from is Mother Nature. If you misuse your natural resources, folks, it's going to bite you. That's a simple fact of resource management.
May have to tell that to some of our legislators.
Oh, where are you going with this, Doc?
Anyway, it's when we some of the things that what happens when we get behind the eight ball. I mean, it may be something that'll take us into the next break, but sometimes we don't want to sell the cows, and we don't have the grass.
The only option really at that point for reduction of grazing pressure is destocking and feeding. And folks, that's probably the most expensive drought management mitigation strategy that there is. But the one thing it will do is buy you time to kind of think through the situation and discuss your options. Many folks, for example, right now are using silage for the very first time because failed corn crops, failed sorghum crops are finding their way into silage pits right now.
Cool. After the break, we're going to discuss more about winter feeding management with Dr. Olson.
This tip brought to you by Baytril 100 Enrofloxacin Injectable, now approved for use in controlling BRD in high-risk cattle. Baytril 100, right the first time, whether it's controlling BRD in high-risk cattle or treating BRD.
Hi folks, I'm Dr. Dan from DocTalk, and thanks for joining me for our On the Farm tip. Today's tip is about metaphylaxis treatment of cattle for bovine respiratory disease. What the heck is metaphylaxis? Metaphylaxis is what we used to term mass treatment or mass treatment of cattle on arrival, and the actual definition of the term is treating cattle that are at different stages of the disease process that are all within the same group. So when we mass treat on arrival or use metaphylactic treatment on arrival of an antibiotic, it's important that you work with your local veterinarian. And the reason why it's important is so that you make sure that the drug that you're using for metaphylactic treatment of cattle for bovine respiratory disease is labeled for such usage. It's important for judicious use of antibiotics and important for the longevity of the products that we have and keep them on the farm. That's your On the Farm tip today, and thanks for joining me.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hi, I'm Kevin Auctioner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman and Colorado Rancher. Join me each week as the National Cattlemen's Beef Association brings you the latest updates in industry information and market news. Plus, each week we provide important educational information and features on cattlemen from across the country just like you. And we can't forget our favorite cowboy poet, Baxter Black. Join me for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, debuting Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern, right here on RFD TV.
Beef producers need a practical choice when antibiotic therapy is required. More than ever, they are reaching for non-prescription Noromycin 300LA from Norbrook, specially formulated to produce sustained antibiotic blood levels up to 4 days in cattle. Noromycin 300LA delivers economic, broad-spectrum disease management for pneumonia, shipping fever, pink eye, wound infections, and foot rot. See for yourself why Norbrook's Noromycin 300LA is the practical choice for your herd.
Got cattle? Rotomix manufactures a complete line of energy-efficient rotary and vertical feed mixers for feedlots, beef production, dairy, and cow-calf operations. Our mixers are available with the patented Generation 2 staggered rotor, the industry standard for feeding wet rations that include wet distiller's grain. Made in the USA, Rotomix mixers are designed for feeding performance that American cattlemen and dairy producers have come to expect. Rotomix, proud to offer a better mix in less time using less fuel.
This segment is brought to you by Double D Family Mat Shop. Injured livestock could mean injured profits. Protect yours with no-slip mats from Double D Family Mat Shop.
Welcome back to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, joined by Dr. Casey Olson. And Dr. Olson is a ruminant nutritionist over in the Department of Animal Science here at Kansas State University. And he's a professor. But one of the things that you do that hit home with me in the previous segment is that you not only manage our teaching and research cow herd, commercial cow herd, but you have to manage it as if you were an outside operation. I mean, you're balancing a budget and paying the bills.
That's true. I mean, it's very difficult to justify to a taxpayer that we get to have a cow herd just to play with and enjoy.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
It's our responsibility to make that cow herd profitable.
You bet. And I think that's what makes your research so relevant and different from most, and
It's flattering.
and it's awesome. And so let's talk about how you go about feeding these cows through the winter.
Sure.
Cow supplementation and things of that nature.
Well, as I've said before, our winter feeding program is always based on dormant native range here in the Flint Hills of Kansas. In most years, not including this one, forage is typically very abundant but of very low quality. Just as an example, TDN value is usually in the low 40s, and protein value is usually below 5% crude protein. Now, The beef cow is our primary marketing vehicle in the United States for low-quality forages. Just because forage quality is bad doesn't mean that we can't use it.
Right.
Research that was done when I was a graduate student here at K-State, and even before that, looked at, can we supply nutrients in concentrated small amounts to the rumen that will enable a beef cow to use that low-quality forage effectively? My predecessor, Dr. Bob Cochran, who is one of the greatest ruminant nutritionists of all time, he figured out through a wonderful series of studies that if we can deliver to a beef cow an average of about 1 pound of crude protein per day, that we can triple her intake of that low-quality forage and we can double its energetic value. And it's really a trick of ruminal physiology. Okay, the rumen is short on nitrogen, we supply a little bit of nitrogen, and that enables the ruminal microbes to tear down that forage and make a good diet out of it.
So you're putting the bugs to work. You're gonna use what the good Lord in Detroit designed these animals to do.
And coincidentally, folks, it happens to be a very cost-effective winter nutrition program. We're getting the most out of our leased pastures. We are converting a forage resource of modest utility into something that's good enough to actually accrue body condition on a beef cow through the winter.
And probably the most important thing is it allows us to stay in business.
It does.
When you start thinking about the cost saving, what are some of the higher end supplement protein programs running some people?
Well, there are a lot of supplements out there that carry a very high price tag per unit of protein purchased. A lot of self-fed supplements would fit into this category. When we return from the breakdown, I think we can maybe talk about delivery strategies for supplemental protein, ways to make that even less expensive for a commercial operator.
Cool. Thanks for taking us.
This segment is brought to you by Lalaman Animal Nutrition, dedicated to the development and production of natural and differential solutions for animal nutrition.
This is Agriculture Today. Policy development for water resource management is a big deal for agriculture. Regulatory agencies often guide that process, but so too should local interests, very much including farmers and ranchers. Stressing that point at a recent water conference co-sponsored by K-State, political scientist Bill Bloomquist.
Local involvement is absolutely key to success. Now, that doesn't mean that small is always beautiful, because there are large-scale institutions that can provide critical resources. The ability of the U.S. Geological Survey to help with three-dimensional mapping of water resources, including groundwater resources. So you want to mix, and at the local level, trust building, communication, and adaptability key.
This is K-State Research and Extension.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
With BRD, every second counts. And when you get new high-risk cattle, you've got a choice to make. You can either take your chances and wait and see what happens, or you can take charge of BRD. Right from the start, treat bacteria up front with Batro 100 Enrofloxacin Injectable, now approved by the FDA for BRD metaphylaxis and high-risk cattle. Ask your veterinarian about Batro 100 and make it your go-to drug to control BRD in high-risk cattle or for treatment of BRD. Batro 100, right the first time.
If our local animal agriculture industry disappeared, what else would disappear? The buses that get us to school? The playgrounds and ballparks we go to after school? The books and computers that help us learn and grow? Animal agriculture provides millions of dollars in tax revenue that pay for our school improvements, that pave the foundation that will build our future. A message from U.S. soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Cow-calf, stocker, and feedlot producers know that effective parasite control improves overall herd performance and profitability. Norbrook offers a comprehensive, economical line of pour-on and injectable parasiticides for every livestock operation. Consult with your local animal health supplier to set up a program that protects your investment and brings larger cattle checks this fall. See for yourself why the Noromectin line from Norbrook is the practical choice for your herd.
This segment is brought to you by Rotomix, manufactured in the USA and designed for feeding performance in the feedlots, beef production, dairy, and cow-calf operations. Welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Casey Olson. We're talking about winter cow nutrition programs. And Casey, you want to talk to us about supplementation strategy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, in the previous segment, I mentioned that our magic formula here in the Flint Hills is to deliver an average of about 1 pound of crude protein to a cow per day during the winter, and that enables her to effectively use our low-quality native forage. There are some tricks to make that even more effective. First off, the rumen does not require daily delivery of protein to be fully functional. We've discovered over time, again, through previous research here at Kansas State, that we can deliver protein on an alternate day basis, on a 3-day per week basis, or even a 2-day per week basis,
wow,
as long as we hit an average of 1 pound of protein per day. And when you talk about cutting the number of trips down to the pasture to feed cows by half, you're really talking about significant savings in terms of equipment wear and tear, fuel, and man hours.
Oh, so which ones of these is probably the most common supplementation delivery time?
Well, what we like at the cow-calf unit at Kansas State is a delivery interval of between Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Monday and Thursday, depending on the group of cows and depending on their requirements, and also depending a little bit on the nature of the supplement. Now, that protein source that you choose, folks, should be chiefly ruminally degradable. There are 2 types of protein, really, that we feed to beef cows. One form is ruminally degradable. The other is degradable in the small intestine. It's important. Bypass protein.
Yep.
It's important to choose a source that has a rich component of ruminal degradability. Now, in this particular feed market, where all protein sources are very expensive, I mean, when producers are out there merchandising their ingredients, when they're considering a purchase, I encourage them to put those potential purchases on a dry matter basis, to remove water from the equation, and also to figure out then on a dry matter basis what your purchase price is per pound of protein in that ton of feed or that truckload of feed. That is your path to least costing your protein supplement.
Well, I think it's some of the best information. One of the most relevant shows. We talked about nitrates this year and that, but we still have to feed these cows.
We do. The nice thing about grazing through the winter, folks, on a native forage source or a perennial forage source is that nitrates are generally not a worry. Now, for those of you out there that might be considering using a corn derivative as a winter forage source, beware of those nitrates and beware of prussic acid. Test your forages, folks. Don't make a mistake that will cause you regret.
Thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome, Dan. It's always a pleasure.
Dr. Casey Olson, Dr. Dan Thompson, and thank you for watching DocTalk. Remember, we always recommend that you work with your local veterinarian and your local nutritionist. And if you want to learn more about what we do at Kansas State University or at the College of Veterinary Medicine, you can find us on the web at www.vet.ksu.edu. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson from DocTalk. We sure enjoyed you watching the show today, and I'll see you down the road.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. DocTalk was brought to you by Multimin USA, manufacturers of Multimin 90, sure trace mineral supplementation by timed injection.
Multimin is one of those products you can use to get the ultimate performance out of cattle. Around 90 to 95% of our calves are either AI or embryo transplant. Since we've started using the Multimin, we're up around 70-75% conception on our first AI service, and a product like this is very beneficial for us.